The fan translation flavor of the day today is Eternal Filena for the Super Famicom, which was released in 1995, sometimes called No Filena or Filena Forever, but Eternal Filena is what it says on the title screen, so that's what we're freaking going with. This game is actually based on a light novel series that was started in 1985 and ended around 1994 or so, and there was also a 6-episode anime OVA, which was apparently supposed to be a full series but ended abruptly. So the only way you can get the full story is to play this game or to read the light novels, and if you're not fluent in Japanese, well, you're stuck with the game. So that's where we are today. The gist of the story is that there's this girl named Filena who had to be raised as a male gladiator and has to fight in tournaments, until one day she learns of her royal heritage and ends up on the run with her wife and her companions, and they're trying to get her kingdom back and save the world from an oppressive empire. It's certainly not anything groundbreaking. It's very much the usual sort of thing, but it's not bad. It has some mature themes that you wouldn't really expect from an SNES RPG, but it's not bad. The translation itself is pretty good, although because it is currently unfinished, I did run into some untranslated text here and there, but it was mostly just a couple of things in the menu and some text above enemies in battles. There's also some NPCs and a little bit of event dialogue, but as far as the story goes, it's done 100%, so if that's all you care about, then you're good to go. The game itself isn't really too easy or too hard. I found that it was pretty average most of the time. Maybe some boss fights were a little tough, but it wasn't very often. It has an ATB-style battle system like Final Fantasy as well, so that's pretty familiar if you're used to those games. And it's kinda cool how your characters can hold up to like 3 weapons and learn different skills from each of them. So you've got like your swords, your lances, and your hammers, and you learn different skills based upon what those are, and some things work better on different enemies, so it changes it up a little bit. It's not a particularly fancy-looking game, especially if we're coming out in like 1995, when you had stuff that looked like Final Fantasy VI by that point, but the sprites are well done. They kind of remind me of Final Fantasy V, but I guess with like a little more emotion? I don't know, there was something about it that I just liked a little bit more than that game, but it's not bad looking. I actually think it's one of the better parts of the game. I don't really have a very good comparison for the combat, but it kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, so there's a lot of similarities to different Final Fantasy games here, but I guess that's a good thing. One other thing to note is that this game has a really bad encounter rate, which kind of just comes with the territory, but there were times towards the end of the game where it was really driving me nuts, so just FYI. One of the things I really didn't care for in this game though was the soundtrack. There's like 3 different battle themes and I liked 2 of them, and as for other themes I think there's like 2 songs that I like, but it's just a lot of bland, forgettable music. It's just not very ear-pleasing. So it's kind of a bummer since music is a really important thing to me in games, but hey, it is what it is. Honestly, if you have any interest in this game, I would say go for it. It's not bad, and it's also pretty short. I would say it would take you 15 hours tops. It shouldn't take any more than that unless you do some intensive level grinding, but it's not really necessary as long as you know what you're doing. It's got an interesting story concept. I think it'd be a lot more enjoyable if I could actually read the novels, since 9 novels compared to a 15-hour game, there's probably quite a bit missing there. But yeah, I don't think it would hurt to check it out, especially if you're like me and you're just weak for 16-bit games in general. And also if the idea of a female protagonist kind of draws you in, because I know that does for me. Just didn't see it very often back then. So it's not gonna hurt to look at it. And of course I'll make sure to include the link to the patch down below in the description. But yeah, not a terrible game, but also not something that's really substantial.